Hello everyone, how's it going? My name is Henry and welcome to another aircraft review for Microsoft Flight Sim 2020. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Piper Seminole that they have on the store, as you can see here. We're going to do some flying in it today because doing my multi-IFR in real life, this is the plane I flew. Good old Seminole, really fun plane. It's actually one of the most fun I've had flying. It's a great little light twin. But it still packs a punch. It's really fun to fly. So anyways, let's take a look at the liveries and let's hop into the aircraft itself. Alright, so we got our flight set up here coming out of Brampton. Let's have a quick look at the liveries that are included. As you can see, there are a few different American ones. There's a British one. I'm looking at the registrations, by the way. But yeah, so pretty simple liveries, but they still get the job done. Today, let's go with this cool red American-looking one, the November Alpha Mike one. So we're gonna choose this guy for weight and balance for today. We're gonna do full tanks, 190, 190. Let's just say there's 10 pounds of like stuff in the back seat, and let's go flying. Alright, here she is loaded in Brampton, and again, as always for the Microsoft store, at least most of the time anyways, the actual model looks really, really well. They did a really nice job. They have all the little details on her. They have the kind of right lights and whatnot. Now, there's something I don't really know about this Seminole in the sense that the Seminole that I fly, it's a slightly different model, where the actual landing light as well as some air intake is actually on the front of the nose. I'll see if I can put a picture of the actual aircraft that I fly. And of course you still have like your drain holes and everything. You got your step, you got everything else nicely modeled. You have your gear, you have your gear bays. Again, it might be a little bit hard to see on YouTube, but again, you have your multiple antennas, including the ones coming off the vertical stabilizer. So it's all done very nicely, and let's just put the flaps down and head on into the cockpit, where we can see, yes, you can actually open up this window, which I always love these little details. And you can kind of see the reflection off the mirror. We use the mirror for making sure the nose wheel is locked in for takeoff landing, and you can also see the taxi line. Stay on the center line with that. But yeah, just looking off to the left side, you can see that the cowling, everything else, the nacelle is nicely done. You have proper bit mapping, everything else. Coming into the cockpit itself, and well, I should also say, yes, you can have your friends back here too. Have the old 6-pack instrument panel. You do have a Garmin GPS installed. But yeah, so you can use this for IFR practice if you want. You have all the instruments that you need. The one I fly, again, I'll post a picture here. It has the G500 suite, so it's really cool. It has kind of like the full synthetic vision and full GPS capability, so you can do both your RNAV and ILS approaches. As well as the one I fly, it's slightly modified, where it's the Piper Seminole that they have a lot of like the mags and everything off to the side. This is what it looks like. So kind of like where this microphone is in this 3D cockpit, just below that, that's where the panel would be, just over here. But yeah, no, other than that, like it's very similar for me anyways. So between the seats here, you have both your lovely fuel switches. We're just gonna switch these on. Have your fire extinguisher, it's in the green, so you know it's gonna be pressurized. Again, you have your trim right here for your rudder. You have your elevator trim right here as well. You have your flaps. Again, that's the cool thing about the Seminole too, is that they aren't electric or hydraulic or anything. It's just you pulling a crank like you would like the e-brake in a car. It's kind of a cool little it's a fun little plane to fly. Again, it's the most fun I've had. Again, your carb heat's located just below the throttle quadrant. The cowl flaps, so let's see if I can show you that. Cowl flaps are just below here, so for walk-arounds and whatnot, you keep these suckers open. You can see just below the cowl, it basically helps with airflow and engine cooling and whatnot. You don't really have those open during the winter, but let's just open these guys for startup. And yeah, of course, everything else, you got your usual like fuel pumps, you got your gear switch, emergency gear handle, you got everything else located all around the cockpit here. And again, they've done a nice job modeling. Again, I probably only have around 10, 12 hours in the Seminole, but it's a really nicely done model. Like I can definitely like the fence up here. You have your temperature gauge, you have your little speeds on your visor, things like that. It's all the nice little details that I really like about sim aircraft. So let's get the startup sequence going here. I'll fast forward for you so you don't have to sit through me just going through switches and whatnot, but if I say anything important or if I come across anything, I'll stop the fast forward and explain things. So let's go with cockpit checks, and I will meet you guys in a bit. Alright, so we're ready for taxi. I'm just kind of skipping all the GPS setting up and transponder because we're in the sim today. But we're just going to taxi on over for a run-up now. If there's still a traffic jam over there. Hopefully they aren't doing anything crazy. Man, it's a busy day here. Okay, I don't know what these guys are doing. But still, let's go over to our run-up area and do our checklist there. We'll just do a brief... There we go. Brake off. We'll just do a quick brake check here. So we're rolling. There we go. Awesome possum. So again, we're in the sim today, so we're going to go a little bit fun on the engines right now. We're going to go through this guy. Have some spaghetti. And we're just going to taxi on over to our run-up area here. Alright, so first point here is when you turn the fuel off, so when the fuel switch goes off, in the airplane, in the sim, in this aircraft, the engine automatically just turns off, like it's an on-off switch. It actually takes like a good 20 or so seconds, like depending on the day, for that fuel pressure to slowly go down. Well, probably around 10 seconds, I was being a little bit more lenient. So if you are using this as practice, just know that when you switch to off, to make sure that the actual switch works. Oh, okay, we just got run over. That's cool. Good job, Flight Sim. It'll actually take at least 10 seconds for that needle to start going down, because again, there's still fuel in the line. So I'm not going to do it on the right side here. Oh my gosh, these cars don't care about us. I am just going to ignore this one because again, the engine's just going to quit. I'm going to have to restart it. But yeah, so that's a first hiccup here. That I noticed is that it doesn't just turn off like that. It does have some run-up time before the engine sputters. And that's actually kind of what you want, right? Like, part of the check is that you're checking to make sure that the fuel pressure is starting to go down in the off mode. And then when you go back to cross-feed, it should stabilize, if not return, right? So that's what we're looking for. That's the first kind of hiccup I've found in the sim with the aircraft. So let's go to 1800 RPM now. Yeah, it's just kind of weird where there's a party going on here. All right. Some of the lines and stuff are a little bit off, but hey, it's Flight Sim. You can spend more money buying the fancy version here. All right, so let's look at our prior to runway here. So control is free and correct. The cool thing, I'll bring the yoke back so you can see what I'm doing here. The cool thing about the Seminole, at least the one I fly, is that you can actually, in real life, it's kind of hard and it hurts your neck a bit, but you can actually see the upper tail here. There you go. You can actually see the elevator go up and down because the actual whole surface moves. As you can see there, it's a whole big elevator, so it's a little bit easier to see. So yeah, that works. That's part of the flight controls, making sure that is all nice and comfy here. Let's close our little window here. All right, I don't have a proper setup for flying a twin here, but let us get into the air here. So let us get our brakes on, or off, I should say. Let's get rocking and rolling. Whoa, that's a little bit weird. Alright, so I'm kind of interested to see. I've played with this aircraft for a while. It's a nice little, let's see. There we go. Let's get center line on the center line here. And I have a feeling my seat is a little bit too low here. There you go. Alright, so again with the Seminole, make sure everything's good, instruments in the green, the heading is fine for the runway. Let's get up to 2,000 RPM on the brakes, just left side, we're good, right side, we're good, nothing on the engines. Alright, release brakes, full power, and let her go! So again, we wait for that airspeed to come alive here. Maintain center line, wait for 70 to 75 rotation. There's our airspeed coming up. Maintain center line there, keep that nose protected. And there's our nice little rotation. On the brakes, positive rate, gear up, gear up. We're looking at those 3 lights here. And initially we're looking for around 88 knots until 400-ish feet off the ground there. And then when we do, we can bring her back to 25. Which one did I set my RPM? There you go, for a good climb. Then we turn the fuel pumps off, we turn that. And then we can go 105 until circuit altitude here. Then we'll just straight out. We'll keep on going, just go over handling and whatnot and see how it handles. I shouldn't say fuel, like, it's a little bit, like, you got a lot on the nose, like, besides, like, your instruments and stuff that's on your front display here. You do have, like, your heater and stuff. The gas heater is in the nose, and, yeah, let's do a slight climbing left turn here. It's just to show a little bit of that horizon. If there is an engine out scenario, it's winter, an easy way to kind of tell which engine it is that if it starts getting cold, chances are your left engine's failed, because the left engine is connected to the heater there, the nose. So that's whenever I got, quote-unquote, my engine failed in practice there, it's just like, oh no, everything's getting cold. Because it's our left side. So yeah, as you can tell, it's a wonderful climb rate for the Seminole. It's a nice little light twin here. Let's have a little bit of a left bank here just to show you some of that wingage. Nice little sleek profile here. That's a funny thing about the Seminole too, is the bulge nose. Ooh, can go through. Can I go through? Oh sweet, I can go through the ceiling. This kind of looks cool. You can see the end of the a little sophisticated temperature gauge here. Again, nice reflections. Flight Sim does a great job for that. Let's stop at around 4,000 and we'll just kind of go off on cruise. I'll just bring it back to 20. We won't go too far today because, again, this is just a quick romp in Flight Sim. We wanted to see how it handles and whatnot. 2 little things. This is more about flying than this actual aircraft review itself. I originally got my multi-rating on a PA-44. And of course, today we were flying this wonderful little Seminole. Cool fact about the Seminole is that it doesn't have a critical engine. And if you know what that is, or if you don't know what that is, check out the video I did on what is a critical engine. TLDR, for those who didn't read or don't have the time to learn or whatnot, pretty much what a critical engine is that, as you know, propellers spin a certain way. Aircraft with a critical engine, both the props spin the same way. So if you lose one is going to be harder to kind of like counteract the force. But the Seminole, they both operate in reverse ways. So the props both go inward, I believe. So what that means is that it doesn't really matter which engine you lose. It's going to be the same kind of amount of effort that you have to give to counteract that. So that's kind of a cool thing about the Seminole. Another thing about the Seminole, if I can get this properly, is that, again, like many other light twins, it has your good old rudder trim. For those getting your multi-rating, I'm not a CFI or anything, so this is just my personal advice. Don't call me out on it or whatever. Use at your own risk. For your multi-rating, part of your training is, of course, having an engine that fails on you. For your multi-IFR stuff, if you're doing like a cross-country portion and like it fails and whatnot, rudder trim is great because, again, you're on the cruise portion, so you're going to be there for a while, so that's awesome. But if you're doing your multi-flight test and you have to do your single engine approach and landing, I would recommend not using the rudder trim in the sense that it's one more thing for you to worry about. And when you get close to the airport and then all of a sudden you turn your engine off, you're going to have a sudden realization all of a sudden your aircraft really wants to yaw left or right, whichever way you have it set. So I'd just say, like, work out your leg, have it set ready for the day before, and not use rudder trim for doing that, because that's another thing that can like easily go wrong for you. Speaking of, let's just have a quick. Can I just do something here? Easiest way would probably just take this off. There you go. So as soon as I turn that one engine off, it's not feathered or anything, so it's producing a lot of drag there. I'm not doing anything, but you can see the turn coordinator and everything. Very slow reaction. The aircraft wants to yaw left, so that's good. That means that they have that all simulated. You can kind of see the engine. It's still windmilling now, because again, there's no gas for that aircraft engine to work right now. So basically, it's just the wind using that. So, again, I'm not doing a flight lesson here, but of course, first things first is that you want to fly the plane, aviate, navigate, communicate. With twins, of course, for engine failures, so that you want to identify and verify. So, dead foot, dead engine. So again, right now I'm using right rudder to counteract that right engine still working. My left foot is dead because I'm not using it, so the left engine has died, which is exactly what we have done. So again, let's feather that sucker, and hopefully that stops windmilling. That's off, and again, you go down and turn fuel off, everything else. So yeah, it feels nice. It's nice that you can windmill that propeller there. Makes life a little bit easier. It's not really doing it in the sim. We're still still windmilling, but hey, whatever. It's as long as you get your procedures down. And again, if you're going into descent, single engine, slowly bring that back down. There you go. Alright, so that kind of works. Again, the engine doesn't want to feather, but hey, each their own. There you go. And just like other light twins here, as soon as you get to that certain lower speed here, you do get that gear warning, because the throttle's fully down. Nice thing is that you can mute that. Fortunately, the one that I fly does not have that, so it is nice. It is a nice little thing to have, though, for sure. Again, they do have the heater, the fan, that kind of works. Again, your little air intakes and temperatures, they work as well. You can turn the fan on and off. If you've flown the Seminole before, you know that that's a whole thing in itself. How you're supposed to have the heater off onto fan mode, so then it helps cool it down a bit. So here, let's just get those gear down. Let's go external view just to show you the animation. And of course, having gear down, it helps slow you down a bit there. There we are. Let's level off at around here. Actually, I think I've set us up for the downwind already. Yeah, it's right here. Yeah, look at that. So here, let's see how it handles with landing here. We're around circuit altitude here. Keep our speed up. The one thing I notice about a lot of light twins is that for some reason the manifold seems off. Like right now I'm showing at around 2300 RPM with the prop gauges back. But yeah, that seems a little bit low RPM wise, but hey, what do I know? Hey, there's the runway there. And if it's ever a little bit too slow, we just add some more power here. Nice thing about light twins is that they react nice and fast there. Alright, and we are on final. Coming on in there, staying above 90 knots. Let's get the last stage of flappage in. That's the thing with the Seminole is like, you always feel like you're coming in way too fast, but like above 90 knots, and then of course when you get here, you start to lower the throttle here. You just generally gradually, ever so slightly, go into ground effect. You let it bleed. Oh, that's kind of weird. It's okay. What the heck? Oh, sorry, my throttle went off. And there you go. We kind of, I didn't even realize we were on the ground there. We didn't really flare. Let's get like some nice braking in there. Yeah, felt about right. Like, Normally I'd get off this taxiway anyway, so that's good. Alright, let's get an external view of taxi here. Let's stop in our little taxi bay here. Let's get those flaps back up, ground lean. Yeah, let's just park on over here, because everyone seems to be hanging out in the middle of the apron, so let's just stop right here. And there you go, folks, a nice little flight. Again, there's always like one or two things when it comes to like these kinds of planes and flight sim, but honestly, I think they did a really nice job. Like, again, they did a great job with the model. It would be kind of cool to have the different variations, so like maybe like a glass cockpit, like a G500 or a G1000, like, because again, a lot of Seminoles these days are equipped with those, because again, modern flight schools and stuff and requirements. But it is nice to have like a kind of a good old 6-pack, as well as with an older GPS unit, because if you can fly IFR on these approaches, then you can pretty much do anything. Yeah, so again, I think it's a nice little aircraft to practice around if you are flying it in real life. Just know that there are those little things that, so like I said, with the fuel shut off and like other little bits and bobs and details around here, overall, like, they did a nice little job with the model. And yeah, I recommend it if you're flying the Seminole and you just want to get some flight sim hours in and practice with approaches and whatnot. It's a nice little aircraft. So what do you guys think? Do you guys fly light twins at all? Do you guys have any favorite flight sim planes? Let us know in the comments. Fly safe, and as always, happy landings.